to designing comic book characters. Does that sound right to everyone?
Yes.
All right. We've got a couple more panelists, I think, coming. John's be back. I don't think you'll mind if we start. 50 minutes. Let's see. So let's do some introductions. Dave.
Oh, all right. My name is Dave Johnson. I illustrate for a number of RPG companies, including Telegram. And I do concept art for wargaming miniatures. And I also just got picked up on my first comic book called Murder Hobos Incorporated. Oh, no. I'm illustrating the book right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not here yet.
Murdering hobos.
Murder Hobos.
Murder.
Yeah. Yeah.
Way much more respect for you right now.
Yeah.
Seriously, I'm like, yeah.
Or is that like their job?
Oh, well,
Yeah, I think we'll get to that. That's later in the show. Yeah. There's a Pinterest page.
Yeah. It's a mentality.
It's a way of life. My name is Tony Gregory. I draw comic books, draw for Image, IDW, TV shows. I've been a corporate sketch artist. My book Karma Place comes out January through a company called Vault, being announced at San Diego Comic-Con. And I'm also working on another book for Vault currently, 5-issue series that comes out in 2017 at San Diego.
Just in time, John.
Excellent.
So what's going on?
Introduction.
Yeah, my name is John Wright. I work for a production company who does work for TBS and AMC. I do a webcomic called Revenge Girl, and I just this week launched my own signature clothing line through Vita.
I'm Jason Williams. I am a comic book artist as well. I do a lot of work for Topps Trading Cards on the Star Wars line. Do a webcomic called Barwinch Tales, which is under the Legend of Bill imprint. Do animation art, various illustrations, and graphic design as well. So, yeah. And I will be your moderator for this evening.
A bunch of bald-headed guys with beard.
Yeah, wow. So if you are not a bald-headed guy in a beard,
You're out.
you're out. There's only one way you can be an illustrator. This is it.
Your hair,
Yeah.
real weird.
So this is character design. I think we'll go a lot based on what you guys want to know as well. I guess what I started writing down, I was almost prepared for this. Like, yeah, I know. I've been like totally like going by you. How do you guys start?
With character design?
Yep.
Believe it or not, still to this day, I start with a skeleton. We're talking just regular concept of just building a character.
Yeah. Let's roll play. Design a mailman.
Okay, he's going to be tall and skinny, but hunched over because he's been carrying a mailbag for 30 years. Slightly cranky, with a hard roll.
Droopy face, needs a shave.
Yeah.
There's a bottle falling out of his mail pouch because he's living such a rough life out on the pavement every day.
But he's dedicated because he delivers the mail and it rains, sleet, or snow to his destination. So he has a real in his eyes.
So basically, story. We keep going back to this. I'm like so proud of this. Yay! Is when you create a character, you build a backstory. Before, the way I do it is before I hit a line on paper, I have a story about the character, and then you can start designing it. What else? Anything that specific questions you guys want to know about character design? We've got like 50 minutes, so it should be pretty interactive, I think. Yeah. Yeah. No.
When you're first given the character and everything, what is just like the first few bits of the process while you're deciding, like, communicating with the writer and editor or whoever else?
And, you know, what are the first few steps?
Wanna go first?
All right, so you're referring, so you said before you talk to the writer manager?
As soon as you're like,
Right.
the very start of creating,
Are you right? Okay, so
whatever
what,
that is.
for me, I actually have somebody who, they're either characters you see on television shows and stuff, so the majority of the time I know exactly what they look like. But for example, for the webcomic, if so he added a fella who kidnaps people to take them to a cannibal chef to get chopped up and fed to people, right? So I said, well, what do you want your guy to look like? So he said, how's about a 1980s rocker mixed with a Hannibal Lecter kind of character who has sayings tattooed all over himself, right? So that's why I started out with, I looked up 80s rockers. They had the big curly hair and they will wear the heeled boots. So I put him in that with a pair of blue jeans and a belt buckle because the guy drives a big rig that he hauls all his victims around, right? So I mixed up like a little Western style with 80s rocker, and then with the tattoos, I was able to make him look kind of like a serial killer by putting odd phrases on it, and I threw him in a leather vest. So when I'm given a description, I'm able to build from there a character. And then if you're working with somebody and the person doesn't like it, you just redraw it until the person
And
does it.
every time you redraw it, do you give them a new character sheet with different angles, or do you give them like one, what do you think of this?
That's a great question. For me, I do full turnarounds. Forward, back, side, and three-quarter view. Every single time, every single time.
Busts and close-ups and different items?
Yep. If it's needed. Sometimes it's not needed. Sometimes you gotta create a character with things. Like, another character was a news reporter. I'm never gonna show this news reporter because he's an anchor behind it. So he's always gonna be bust up, right? So, I had the TV on in the background and Trump was running his mouth about something. So I decided to do a play on Donald Trump. I made a more heavier set. And so yeah, if I'm inspired by something without a description, I'll just throw that in there. And usually, I really haven't had anybody tell me, you know, specifically to change that character up unless they give me a specific thing to go by.
Yeah, generally, do you have a question?
I was actually gonna ask, like, I know that, like, I tried to, like, raise my hand before, but, like, I was just wondering, I didn't catch the name of that comic with the 1980s rocker guy. What was that called? That sounds kind
Oh,
of
Revenge Girl.
Oh, it's the, okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, when I usually, if I get a script, I'll ask the writer straight up, like, hey, do you have any ideas in your head about what any of these characters look like before I start? And if they do, I incorporate that into my designs. If not, I just go and have fun and do whatever I want. And then if it's like a team, like this book has like pretty much 3 characters end up going on a journey together. So I want them to all be distinct and different, you know, because I want them to have their own characteristics that stand out on their own. I don't want to repeat myself. Height is important. You know, people tend to not realize they do it, but they draw characters the same height sometimes, you know, and everything kind of looks the same. So I try to, yeah, dynamic. Have a short person, a medium height, tall person, body dimension, facial structure. Like there's a character in here called the Venerable Jowl. So just by that, I knew he's gonna have a big jowly face. So I don't know if you can see it, but like he's got chipmunk cheeks, you know, right? The Venerable Jowl. That's how he looks. You know. I designed these characters. These are like demon luchadors. He's like, they're demon luchadors. I'm like, what does that look like? He's like, I don't know. What do you think demon luchadors look like? Okay. So I went and I found a bunch of luchador masks online, luchador outfits, and I just riffed off of them. So like, you know how some luchadors have lightning bolts in their head. So I turned those into horns, because they're demons, right? So where I saw like certain iconic things on a luchador's face, I turned that into like a physical attribute. So it would be hair puffed out instead of like just a diamond, you know? But I just kind of keep it fresh and interesting, and I have, usually as I work, I usually have everything taped up around me, all the design work that I've done, so I know like when I'm already working on, so I don't repeat myself, and if I know if it's like, if they're like demon luchadors, they all kind of have a similar connective tissue amongst them, you know? And I try to keep it consistent with that so they look like they're related in some sense. But then certain things, they have to be diametrically opposed to each other. So, I don't know. Yeah, diversity. Diversity is key.
Yeah, to the very first steps. I mean, it depends entirely who you're working with, right? So somebody may have like Tony was saying, has a super clear idea of exactly what they want. And this is a thoroughly thought out thing. In which case, you're just trying to match in reality what they've imagined. Right? Now, if it's open, if it's open-ended art direction, I just start by thumbnailing and sketching and comparing the needs of the story to what I can produce and what ends up doing it. So
Yeah.
sometimes that depending on the content of that story, that can be anywhere from subtle differences in the iterative process of drawing those characters to totally outlandishly different design ideas, and maybe one of the least likely ways to stick.
The sketchbook is very important. So right now, I'm also going to be working on something for Image 2 months, and I have to design a character as like a John Candy Space Man Skip, Jungle Book space type character. So I've been drawing like John Candy, right? In my sketchbook, I just filled up with like him moving around and different poses and whatnot. And John was saying he does finish like head turns and walk cycles and whatnot. And I will do that when I get to a final thing that we both agree upon, myself and the writer. But usually I just riff and sketch, and I send it to the writer, my collaborator, or whoever. Like, hey, what do you think about this? And we kind of develop it. And then once we kind of settle something, I focus on it, right? I keep it really loose so I can kind of riff. But then once we find something we really like, I focus on that and I develop that and I start doing that.
I think you had a question on the back before. Did you have a question?
Not yet.
Oh, no.
Okay. How do you go about doing details that set that character apart, like hair or tattoos? And how do you go about creating a tattoo that you can recreate in all the panels that that character is in?
For tattoos, I do very simple, very simple designs. If you go too detailed, you're like, God, I gotta do this every freaking time now. So like if you do like a squid, don't draw in every round, sucker on their tentacle. Just kind of do a couple here and there, because it's way too overwhelming to try to do detail.
Yeah.
Facial features, every single time I rough it out, I just put certain markers on the face, like if the bone here is going to be deeper on this guy because he's thinner. I'll just do quick 2 little marks here for it. Or if the guy's like always angry, there'll be some creases here. On the rough, I'll just do a quick couple of lines so I know that when I go to ink it, I know where I want my expression lines at. And for like old creepy dudes, I can do the heavy bags under the eyes and sunken cheeks, So I just make sure I put markers on the rough so I know. And in that way, I can also keep my characters looking the same every time I draw.
Keep it simple. I would try to keep it simple. You really push yourself. You pick your spots. So like you basically have a simple design for a character, and you might have one detail that it's going to be hard work for you to replicate over and over again. But it's only one detail. I don't like to draw. I'm not going to draw something where it's like these crazy ornate armor, and I have to draw it in a story over and over again. If I'm doing an illustration or commission, for instance, they draw a samurai warrior, and I want to draw crazy, armor with feathers and awesome decor. Because it's just an illustration, it's one shot. But if I'm doing a book where I'm doing 100 pages and I have to draw the character over and over again, I'm not going to do it for myself. That's insane.
You got to ask yourself what's essential.
Yeah. Also, like at some point, detail. I get lost in detail. So if I look at a book with characters and it's just too overly rendered, it's too much detail, I just kind of like after a while it just becomes visual noise to me. Where it's like I know it's a lot of hard work, but I lose the appreciation. Also it should be about story. So if you're telling a story or a comic per se, like really like much art, like you're should be focused on storytelling, and also like designing something cool with a character, you can use that as a tool in storytelling. Like hair, like a ponytail, you can carry. Like if somebody has a really long ponytail, you could use that to carry you through the page. Depending on how your layout looks. The character in the foreground, the ponytail looks around the page. Then you can lay the panels of the mouth of the ponytail. Just hypothetically.
So, I do have a question now. Based on just visual design, okay, you've got just to use as a character I saw in a Tarzan comic book a little while ago, and Claw character that DC had in Conan, which of course everybody knows what Conan's basically essentially like. You got these characters so visually similar. How do you prevent your new design from banging up against the copyright of, or trademark rather, more so, of a Disney or Warner Brothers character, if you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's who the big dogs out there are with comic books, I guess, right now.
I think that one comes down to the story too. I think the story dictates the character. So if you have a barbarian that's doing the same type of thing that is, you know, Conan's going to do,
I'm gonna go different. I'm gonna go
Yeah.
totally different. I'm not gonna make it.
Yeah.
But-
I'm gonna make him bald, or I'm gonna make it a woman, or I'm gonna make it a different ethnicity.
Sure.
You know.
yeah,
Maybe-
juxtapose it.
Yeah. Or a scar.
To
instead of
elaborate.
tall, skinny, short, and chunky, or you know.
Sure.
You know, have fun with it too.
To elaborate a little bit, you got millions of people basically all using the same few tens of thousands of words and the same basic ability to draw to convey their story. There's still basically millions of people drawing on what seems like the same resources, and you don't want your project to end up, well, like that Land on Under song. You know, I mean, you could argue that that was a copyright case, I guess. You could argue that they really weren't, but with so many people trying to do things creatively, would you say there's a way to? I mean, there's lots of blonde barbarians too, and lots of short. I'd say short barbarians. I mean, you got Bafford and the Grey Mouse, or you know, you got.
You know, you're telling the barbarian story, right? So, but like.
Well, not necessarily just. I'm saying superhero
Yeah,
kind of
let's say
thing.
you're telling a barbarian story. Where does it take place, right? Geographically.
Right.
So you can implement things from that region into the design of the character. Conan's kind of vague. There's no.
So New York. It's a superhero in New York with a cape.
Are we talking barbarian or we're taking makeup? Because now we're making up stories. If we would make up stories, then we can do whatever you want. And there's
Right.
And that's how you separate it.
And that's your personality,
Yeah.
your life experience, interpreted as an artist through your work, right? So if you're telling a story and you're drawing it, it's going to look like you drew it, right?
Well,
So
in
if
this
it's a future
case,
barbarian in New York, it's not like a barbarian in Syria in the 25 BC, right? So there's like a difference.
well, to be more specific, for example, say you were doing something set in the 30s, and most of the guys are wearing fedoras, or they might have opera capes, they might have, you know, suits, they might be driving cars, they might have a manservant, they might use guns, they might not use guns,
Well,
they
sure,
might use
like
gas.
there's
But
not-
all these guys are looking the same because they're not wearing S's on their chest necessarily. But you go 10 years later in the 40s, and you've got people who are basically flying and looking through walls and lifting whatever they want to, all very visually similar. A lot of the companies, as I recall, used to fight each other like cats and dogs over trademark, Captain Marvel and Superman. And nowadays, there's so many more thousands of characters. I'm just trying to get to the question, how can you possibly screen yourself from bumping into somebody else's trademark?
I think honestly it comes down to, I don't think, you can look at anything and find a similarity between it. You can, I mean, you can take anything and do it. I think keeping yourself, you know, a little bit more separated, you know, by story and just knowing your material, you know, and research and trying to pick things out that are not similar. I think you'd bang your head against the wall every day for every hour if you tried to make something so unique that nobody was going to mistake it for something else.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Right, and also I don't think a lot of artists out there are sweating it when they're designing a new character, like, is this gonna, you know, bump up against somebody else's stuff?
Yeah.
I mean, because you have what you're exposed to and what you like, so you know what you're drawing from, right? So
Yeah.
if I'm drawing a superhero, I'm not going to give him a cape. If I am going to give him a cape, it's going to be
Not tucked in.
if it's going to be tucked in a college, I'm going to change it to make it like a Latin. I'll change it. I don't want to look like Shazam. I don't want to look like Superman, right? You know. But there's ways to do it, but they're all subtle. So if you're drawing a guy with a cape, there's only so many ways you can interpret that or draw that. So
Which is, I guess,
you're almost pigeonholing yourself by doing that in the first place. So that's why this stuff's kind of played out.
I know it doesn't come up as often in, more modern comics, but how do you guys approach the logo?
That's kind of a hard question. I just I look at fonts till I like logos. So I like the font and then put it in Photoshop and then play with the chiseling and shadows and that's the only way I address it.
Okay.
I just created a font for a new comic or a logo for a comic that we did, and it's a 60s manga homage for the style. So we looked at 100 different logos from back through that era, and you pick out things that you like and make it a little bit more modern, but use some of those elements.
It's got a pop. It's got like stand out. 'Cause like, okay, so I don't design the logos for the stuff I work on. I work with this design, mostly designing Tim Daniel. He works for heavy metal and he's a brilliant guy. And so I work on this book called Dr. Throw, and he's an occult. It's not like cowboy, but he's like an occult doctor. And he dresses up. He has like a crow helmet. So the logo is pretty distinct, right? He took a crow and he took the name and you know, basically made something really cool that stands out. So you saw it from far away. Yeah, you see the title. Because really, when we're doing logos, it's really that's advertising, right? So it's like communication. So he's trying to communicate an idea and get people's attention.
Next.
Do you have any like tips or anything like that for symmetry or drawing the same thing over and over and over again, or maybe even just symmetry on a person, like making the eyes actually naturally look the same, you know, things like that?
Yeah, I do. It's a real easy technique. Anybody can do it. I'll do the exact same thing I just did in this panel we were in. So my news report, like I told you guys, was making fun of Trump, right? But I didn't want it to look like Trump, like I did on the cruise pic. So this guy's face shape is always the same. It's always going to be like this, right? And then I come through here. And so I put the cross down for yeah. And then I throw in his ears. And then he's got a big bulbous nose. So I'll put that in. And then so I know his eyes are always going to be right here. His head. So obviously this is not shaped like a head, so I'm going to turn this way. Give him a little double chin there. This way and throw in his ridiculous hair. Oh, it's a little sloppy, but again. So this guy will always look the same because I know I start with these two shapes. Big ears, big bulbous nose. Eyes will always be the same line, created line. And some folks start to create the line for the nose and line for the mouth, right? I don't bother. And then, so this guy's distinguishing features of his ears and nose. But if you had somebody different, like let's say you got a skinny guy, so let's do this, and then let's do the sunken in here, so I like to have this every time. And then this way, kind of creaky. And then give them a long nose and something else. So then, when that's square, you have your shape every time. It'll have these features every time you go. Right? So you come down.
So too, I think it comes down to what Tony was saying about like the tattoos. Simple features, not over detailing anything that you're going to have to draw 150 times. And you can see his characters just have the features that you see right off. And very easy to replicate over and over.
And when you create the initial shape, so if you know this guy is going to be square, you know it's a square every time, right? So you know it's a square every single time. But if I need him in 3/4 view, right, then I move my over this way, and there's going to have that ear. So there's my mark. So there's going to have this long, thin nose like this. Eyes are always going to have the knee like that, and he's always going to have a crease in his forehead. And it's going to come on like this. So even when you change, sorry, I know it's so reduced. But anyway, so anytime you do, so if you're going to do side, front, and then if you do a 3/4, it's going to be the exact same base numbers every time, so you have that character looking the same every time you go. And then when you're doing it rough like this, you can do it loosely too, so that way when you go back over it and clean it up, or do an ink over it, or do a color over it. You can change things you want, and it'll be all at the same time, so you have the same, the character will be moving the same way. So that's it, just create face markers, create line markers, and shape markers. So that way you can recreate the character the same way every single time. It took me a long time to learn. I was a mess. The characters never look the same, ever. I mean, I could draw Superman 50 times, and he would look dumb 49 times, right? Until I learned how to do shape and feature markers, I could not recreate a character over and over again.
Has anybody ever bought or ever looked through The Simpsons handbook? It's a 260-page step-by-step of how to draw The Simpsons on model. Pick it up. It is a phenomenal book, and it also shows you the work and how precise you can get with a character. I love that book for a Bible on character design.
Now, I've seen that a lot of comic publishers are taking open submissions. Is that a good way to get your work out there?
As far as like, you have an idea, like pitching properties? Or in
Or-
terms of like just a talent search?
Or it's,
Like DC's doing a talent search right now, but I don't do those things just because I find that you're kind of just thrown into a giant pool and you get glossed over, and even if you're really good or you have your own distinct style, you don't know what they're looking for. And if you're submitting to DC on a talent search, it's national. You're submitting with tens of thousands of other people, so I think people are just wasting their time. You know?
or I'm thinking like Fantagraphics, or thinking the IDW, they'll take 10-page stories.
Yeah, well, that's how we do create our own books, that's what we do. So, like, we make a pitch, you'll do a 5 to 6 to 8 page, each company has their own standard. So like Image is like 6 pages, but then like Bloom is 8 pages, I think. So you kind of have to like go on their websites and you can look up what their pitch parameters are and what their format is, and you just try to meet that format. And yeah, if you got an original story, that you should pitch it, But also, just because you pitch it and you don't hear back, don't take that as it's not good or it doesn't have value, because so many people submit and we get lost in the shuffle, and there's people who are like, yeah, I've met editors in person and we talked and we've had drinks and hey, send me a pitch. And then, cool, I send them a pitch. And I don't hear back for months, or I don't hear back at all. And that I had a personal relationship with this human being. And he told me to send them something, I still didn't hear back. So, like, if you have an idea and you like it and you like what you're doing, just make it.
Yeah.
And just put it out there.
Or I was kind of envisioning, like, could it be like sending in a resume, like you send it this sample story and then they'd be able to find a job for you somewhere based on that?
Tom Cow kind of does that, actually, every time.
Well, yeah, I guess, I've had send in pitches where they didn't like the pitch, but they like my work, and I've had a relationship with that editor afterwards, like IDW, we pitched something, and they didn't like the pitch, but they liked my work, and they wanted to do something else for them, so it worked out that way, just getting your work out there is important, so it doesn't matter, send it out. If you got a pitch, send it to them. What's the worst thing to say? No, but you and a million other people get told no every day, so it's not the end of the world, right? This book got rejected by every publisher, and then we kickstarted it and funded a trade, and it brought it to Emerald City, and it was a success, and then we got picked up after Emerald City by one of the publishers.
Yeah, so if you're serious about it, just do it.
Yeah.
Just go out and get your work done and get it out there.
Yeah.
And then, if you're willing to push your idea hard enough, eventually you'll find some success with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And, but also take people's critiques to heart, and consider the source too. So if your mom or your sister or your girlfriend or your boyfriend's telling you your work is great, no. That might not be, that's great, and they might be right, but generally find strangers. Find people who don't have any personal connection to you, who actually have an eye too, and they don't tell you. And also, some people take it for what it's worth. Some people are just jerks to be jerks, and they feel they get competitive, and they'll tell you something's not good because they don't want to see you shine, because people do that. They really do that,
To get sour grapes on it.
Yeah, and some people actually have constructive criticism. They're trying to help you, and they tell you what they like about it, and encourage the positive. By being honest, like, hey, that's not great.
And being able to discern between constructive criticism and
Just hate
noise.
Yeah.
Right? But yeah, just keep pushing.
Yeah.
And with this manga book, we've been turned down by 5 out of 5 so far. but we still have a loyal fan base and it'll get out there. You just keep pushing your dream
Yeah.
and tweaking it.
This comic book industry is kind of like, when people say Hollywood, the executives don't know what the hell they're talking about. And it's some comic companies are like that too, where it's like you have editors and people who are in the administrative part who really not that creative, so to speak, I mean, there's a lot of creative people there, but there's also those gatekeepers. Some of them are just like, what's going to sell and what's a market and do we know who this person's name is? Because printing a book costs a lot of money. It's a financial risk, so they don't want to print something that they don't think they're going to make their money back, or at least have a chance to. So even if it's good, if they don't know who you are,
But luckily, we're in an era where you can go out nowadays and you can find or build your own market.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you don't have to depend on gatekeepers as much as you used to.
And so if you are sending in a pitch, like I'm more of a writer than an artist, so would it be important to find a collaborator before you get the pitch together?
Yeah, as a writer, I would suggest finding an artist that you're on the same level with as far as like where you're at. I don't know about talent-wise, it's kind of easy to see though, because you know how good of a writer you are hopefully, and you know like what artist you should be working with, and especially if it's both you're doing it for fun or just for the kicks, you like it. Find somebody who's into it, who's passionate about it. It just tell stories.
Yeah, somebody who wants to work on the show.
Yeah.
A lot of people say, oh man, I can't wait to do this.
But if you have a job, you can afford to pay a guy page rate too. As a writer, I suggest doing that because you'll get a better artist. So even if it's only like $30 or $40 or $50 a page, still you're helping somebody, and they'll take more time and they'll be more invested in it. If you can afford to do it.
Next. Keep talking, guys.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that's bugging you about character design, or what is anybody who's an artist? Excellent. Biggest problem?
I was just gonna ask, how do you name characters?
Story?
Yeah.
Story, backstory.
Like right now, we're working with the John Candy and Facebook. We just have a working name for the guys. This is not going to be his final name, but we want to have something to call him. So we call him Taft Sturgeon. It's because he's a big, large person, and William Howard Taft is just what popped in my head. And Sturgeon is always a cool last name because it's a fish in his name. So John Candy liked the fish, so we're like, but that's just a working title. But like this character's name, her name is Jack, right?
Yeah.
But when I got the script, it was a boy in the script. It was a young boy, blonde-haired, white guy, and he eventually becomes the hero and he saves the day for this monastery. We're like, well, I don't want to tell that story about a white guy coming in to save the day for a bunch of Tibetan people. That's just not the message that we want to send. So we changed it to a woman. We kept the name Jack because we thought, why not? It's different. It's kind of like ambiguous because she's ambiguous because she's a monk. She's not supposed to be sexual in any ways. It's not about that, So we kind of we fell into it.
I think a lot of us design characters based on people we know.
Yeah. This is based on my friend Kate Morris.
Yeah. So
Okay.
there's somebody just in your life that is such a caricature that you design a character after. Do a play on their name or use their name.
Well, it's funny on the book that I got picked up for, the writer actually based the female lead off of a gal that he knows who's a model in Los Angeles, and he approached her and was like, hey, can I use your image? So they took her name and then they played around with her name's Kat Marino, and so they ended up naming the character Catastrophe and stuff, that sort of thing. So they took her real life name and it's a real life person, so these situations are pretty broad, right?
And it's nothing like pulling from life is the best.
Yeah, right.
Because it's real. So there's no is this believable? No, it is because it's
And get a group together. If you have a collaborator, a writer, or friends, just start throwing names out. Have a beer.
Yeah.
Start, having fun with it, and something's gonna stick. Next.
Finding collaborators. I live in Kalispell, tiny town. We just got a comic book shop, and it's only open 2 hours a day. It's hard to get a community going. And I've heard about sites like digital webbing, things like that, to try and find collaborators. But I don't know, it seems kind of like a lot of those posts are pretty old.
Digital webbing is really up to date. And some big names have come out of that. You know, Katie Cook, I've been talking for years. She works for Star Wars now, and that's a great site to, you know. But again, as a writer, kind of offer something. If you want something to go, you need to offer, you know, a little bit of pay or some kind of deal, and kind of weed through and find your, you know.
That's the thing as artists, like you have writers who have ideas and they want the artist to draw it. Like, well, if the artist was going to draw something for free, they could just draw their own ideas. Why would, you know?
Yeah.
So either you better have a really good idea, or you better be really great, fun to work with, you know? Or like, because you know, if you tell, especially someone who's an artist who's not working for money yet, who's just doing it for fun, then you know, have a fun idea. And if you're working with somebody and you're not paying them, let them collaborate. Because you know, when I first started out, I worked with writers who were just like Nazis about what they wanted. You know, and I'm like, after a while, I'm like, screw these guys. I'm not getting paid for this, and I can tell my own story. It's just as this story. Like, so, but then there's guys who weren't that way. Who were like, hey, what do you want to draw? Like, what do you think? I want to hear what you have to say. And those are the people who I stayed with when I worked with, even when there was no money involved, because I respected their writing and who they were as a human, as a person. They treated me with respect. And then therefore they got the best out of me and we worked together and created cool stuff.
Social media.
Yeah, social media, Twitter, digital living.
There's tons of forums on Facebook for writers and artists, you know, groups. So yeah, I mean, with digital, it doesn't really matter where you live now to find collaboration. Just putting it out there and trying to find it digitally, I think.
The writer for this lives in Germany. The writer for this lives in Kentucky. This writer lives in Baltimore. I work with another guy who lives in the UK. You know, so I don't.
Yeah, location's not the same kind of barrier that it used to be.
Yeah. So it's great if you can meet somebody in person, but you know, yeah, it's not good.
I think I've met, of all the people I've worked with, I think I've met maybe 4 or 5 out of the dozens of them, you know, in person. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering, how do you go about audience generation?
Magic. Honestly, it's
the dark.
Yeah, that's the goal. I mean, it's not easy.
Yeah.
Social media, I mean, post post it everywhere you can think of.
So you just go through social media, work with, Project Wonderful, that kind of stuff?
That, yeah, any venue you can find to show others your art, I just post it there. Because, like, I'll tell you a good example. I work for a production company in Los Angeles now, right? And we do work for TBS and AMC. I got the job because I posted fan art to the Talking Dead. I gave them like 10 pieces of fan art. A month later, I get an email from the executive producer of the Talking Dead saying, "Hey, I got a project for TBS and I want you to draw." And I said yes. So since then, I have done constant work for them. Sometimes it's 12, 13-hour days. There's me and this guy calling each other, emailing each other back and forth. And I think that anytime, like even though you said don't bother with entering their contest because you won't be seen, if you got the time, just do it anyway. Right? You never know who's going to work. I just did a clothing fashion line because 4 days ago, a lady from Vita Clothing said, "We really like your art here. I want to develop a clothing line around it." And I said, "Are you freaking serious?" So she says, "Yeah." And, I asked a couple questions, make sure she wasn't a bot. And then it was really hard to believe. I never pictured my art on clothing. So she said, "I want you to do original designs."
Guy, I know.
I know. A t-shirt, cargo pants, I'm done. But I did it, and now it's been up for 2 days, and I have already sold 7 shirts at $75 each. So I don't know. I said, "I'll just keep making new designs and you make me money." So
I guess a strategy for building an audience is to find communities of interest online, right? So we're talking about sort of these distributive channels or whatever online, right? That so this is a personal experience thing. Maybe it doesn't. I manage, I've done probably like 30, 40 grand worth of work through Google Plus, right? it just happens to be the social media where RPG people are just going crazy. And I'm not, I'm just getting into comic books, so maybe I'm not as familiar with where those communities meet.
Comics? Well, yeah, Facebook was big for me when I was starting out because it was like an easy way to like push your work out there and friend people and whatnot. And Twitter, like I don't have a lot of followers, like almost 700 followers, but it's enough to get the word out when we're doing something. And you just put out good work and you be consistent and don't be a dick online.
That's a huge
huge
point. Facebook is your resume.
Right.
Yeah, so negative shit and all that, you're representing your product, you are your product. So, treat it that way when you come to these cons, show it.
That's another thing, cons for comics, you make it to, like I go to Emerald City every year. I lived in San Diego for 6 years. I did San Diego Comic Con for like 6 years in a row. I tabled, and I was a pro, and I the badge and whatnot. And it was all great experiences, networking, meeting people, doing portfolio reviews, doing that, and just kind of meeting people in person and hanging out with them, like this year at Emerald City, and it was great, and it was great. The show was great. We sold a lot of books and things were great. But then afterwards, we all hang out at the hotel bars, go out, and hang out with editors and drink, hang out with editors in DC, Image, Eric Stevenson, or drinking beers and just being normal people. They're seeing that you're a normal person, and you're not asking them for something too. You're not like, hey, give me a job. We're just human beings hanging out and talking.
Connect for the sake of connecting.
Yeah. But like Facebook and social media, like these all 4 books were kickstarted, and they all got funded, and all of them beat their goals by over $1 grand. So it was all through social media, Facebook, Twitter. Kickstarter, like they'll highlight things, certain things, doing podcasts, just putting your stuff out there, doing interviews, whatever you can, like have your stuff out there as much as you can without like it's hard with doing a Kickstarter because you don't want to be that person who's always like, hey, give me money, hey, it's project money, because that's annoying. So you also want to like, just draw stuff and put it up there for people. Don't be like always talking, putting yourself out there like you're always asking for something.
Yeah, you're selling yourself, but you can't make a hard sale every time, you just.
Kickstarter's a tool because there's like after a while, if you do 1 or 2, you start to realize the flow of it. So you get that initial burst where you get a lot of money in front, and people sponsor it or whatever, contribute up front. And you get that lull of like a week or so where it's like, wow, we're gonna meet our goal. Is everything kind of unless you get it right away, unless you like meet your goal right away. But then you kind of like sputter to the end. But you kind of like lay off the pedal for a bit, so you don't want to like inundate people and overwhelm them, become an overly annoying guy. But then after a while, towards the end, you start to ramp it up again, and you start drawing things like sketches from the book. So I draw a sketch of the character from the book, tweet it out, like, hey, and then we have 10 days left, and we're $100 short or whatever. And, hey, here's another goal. Like, if we reach our goal by this amount of time, each one of the contributors are going to get extra little busted ahead sketch of the Demon Live Short. So I did that, just offer people something. Engage, yeah. So you're not just be like, and also, it's good, sorry, I'll stop. That's one last thing. Like when you do a Kickstarter, I found that like, have the book pretty much done. Don't go to there with just an idea, like, hey, I have an idea for a story about a dragon sorcerer, and I want to draw it, but I need $10,000 for this.
Well, everybody's got 1,000 ideas, right? You need to be giving some people something finished.
This is done already. But like, this is done. All we're asking you is for money to print, And you'll get all sorts of stuff along with it. Big cards, like full trading cards for each of the characters, postcards and stuff. So.
Well, as writers artists who hook up with writers, what kind of pitches seem to appeal to you? What pitches made you say, that's the guy I want to work with? And what would you say were the ones that really made you say, okay, no? I mean, there's some that are really obvious, but where would you say the tripwire is?
You want to start with this one?
All right. Yeah. Okay. So, part of my job is if I'm getting approached by somebody, is to weed out the jokers, right? So, If somebody's coming in and they've got these really specific ideas with these overly lengthy descriptions, and you know, if they don't already have an idea of sort of the price level that artists are working in, like if they don't budget things clearly, then I know that they're a joker and they're sort of living in their own fantasy world. There's a lot of those people out there that are writers, right? You know, especially in the indie publishing, right? You know, there's a fly-by-night guy who printed. So, you know, be succinct, be willing to be flexible with them, and make sure you know what sort of price range the artist you're approaching is offering.
Yeah, normally, now I just tell them this is my rate, right? So, and I usually go, what I normally get paid, I normally quote them higher, just to see, you know, like, this is my rate, and if they go, oh, you know, that's too much, and I go, okay, well, good luck, you know, and I wish you luck, you know? And if they go, oh, yeah, that's cool, how about this? And it's a little bit lower, then I know, okay, cool, then I go a little lower. So we start off high, you know? That's how you do negotiations, right? But when I was starting out and I was just trying to work with people, I would generally, like, if their idea, if I, like, listen to their pitch and their idea, and I talk to them on the phone, like, person to person, I hear their voice, their inflections, and then if I liked their idea, and if I had the time, and if I wasn't getting paid for it, then I would explore it, you know? And I'd mess around, I'd start Googling it, just to see if, like, if it came naturally to draw it, if it was, like, something that it really wasn't my cup of tea, like, when I start drawing it, it's just like, oh, yeah, I can't draw this for a year, or whatever it's gonna take, like, I don't wanna be in this world, you know? I generally don't do, like, overly dark things, or, like, overly violent, like, it's part of the story, right? But I don't, like, he's going cannibals, stuff I could never want to do.
Yeah. I love horror. I think my wife and I watch a horror movie every single night. So when I'm paired with a writer out of Chicago right now who wrote horror plays for radio and stage in Chicago. So when he brought a script to me about mutant centipedes from the center of the earth eating the town, I said, you got an artist, man. And it wasn't okay. It was just for fun. But after that, I had a webcomic that I was writing myself, but my writing, I cannot write. I see everything visually, so I want to draw it out. And then when it comes time to do dialogue, it sucked. So I told him, I said, I had this old webcomic, I would really like to redo it. He took over the writing. We spent weeks and weeks over Skype developing it. And then now we're done with it out again. So I'm excited because there's going to be a lot of horror kind of stuff in there. Revenge Girl.
Oh, yeah. And with me, I think it's a phone conversation. If you're not local, I need to talk to you. If you cannot have a Skype or a phone call, then typically it's not going to work. Because I need to hear your voice and we need to have a real conversation about money and about the project. Again, it's subject. I won't do anything in regard either. It's just that I don't enjoy doing it. I have a much more cartoony style, and that's what I like. So kind of can pick and choose based on that.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for an artist, be familiar with your work, with their work before you approach them. Right? Like investigate what they've done, make sure that it's somewhat in range of what you're do.
I'm sorry. As an artist, that goes the same way for who you're pitching to and who you're submitting to.
Yeah.
DC doesn't want
Original content, really.
Yeah,
Really,
really.
really
And,
stuff.
yeah, so just, style-wise and stuff, a lot of them are flexible, but, know as an artist who you're pitching to.
Yeah, DC has that Jim Lee house style that a lot of books look like.
Yeah.
Nowadays it seems like they're allowing a little more variations, more indie guys, but for the most part, it's like, now Marvel, if you're an indie, like, John or myself, or Dave, I don't know, or you, we can never get published with DC.
Yeah.
But maybe for Marvel one day, because Marvel seems to have a wider
They're expressing a lot more.
styles, yeah.
And by the way, Marvel, their talent scout name is Ricky Purdon. You can email him anytime you want, and he will take time out and tell you. You can show him your art, and he will tell you, this sucks, and he'll be nice. He
This
did
really
it.
sucks.
He did it for me. He said, but their original talent scout, CB Sapolsky, I submitted my work to, and then that's who I did test pages with. and we talked about food. So if you can find something about these people you're approaching that you know they like, then explore that.
Also, I like it when a writer asks me, what do I want to draw? What do I feel like drawing? Because, you know, it kind of goes in cycles. Like 1 month I want to draw bees. Like, for some reason I was on the bee kick. So my buddy Dave and I are doing a book. And I said, hey, I want to draw bees. So he wrote into the story these cyber bees, right? They're the way the character uses them as tools, you know? So now I get to draw these cool cyber bees. You know? So I like when they do that. Like, hey, what are you watching right now? Or what are you into right now? And like, look at this. So right into the story, so I get to draw that.
Yeah, I think that best writers are the ones that allow the artists to have flexibility.
Yeah. Yeah.
But this really isn't, oh, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No.
This is sort of a personal thing then. Any of you have anything where you really, you know you don't want to go, you know, like if you don't like horror, or maybe you don't like technology, you know, what would you say, okay, well, let's not have that in it, you know. What would you say would be a subject matter turn off, an art turn off?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I'll draw anything as long as I feel like it's pertinent in the story. Like, there's violence in all these books. Like, someone gets stabbed in this book, but you know, it's done in a way it makes sense and it's tasteful and it's not just gratuitous. It goes for sex too. Like, sexuality is great, and I think that's beautiful. But then if it's like perverse or like gratuitous or exploitive
Or unnecessary.
or unnecessary, yeah. Just for the sake of it. Like I did once, drew a sex scene in a book, and I did it where it was all silhouetted, but then I would reveal certain parts of the body where I felt like it, you know, but the way there was freedom within the script for me to do what I wanted. So I wasn't going to draw like a porno. I was going to draw like a tastefully done thing. Plus I draw like I'm a cartoonist, so you know, it looks, I don't know, so, to me, as I watch it, you know, it would look silly, but if it's done right. Like Darwin Cook, who just passed away, rest in peace, he had a really cartoony style, right? It was like classic, but he would do sex in his books, but like in Parker, where you would catch the vibe, and it would turn you on in a way, but not like in a smutty, because it's storytelling.
Yeah.
It's stories. It's writing a story.
Another question.
What's your favorite type of character to do, and what's the favorite character you're doing right now?
I love barbarians, like big, over the top, just tattooed, not muscle, too cartoony for that, but just these big dudes or women that are just scary looking and that are just absolutely cream puffs, and it's just that dynamic. And from they can just throw the whole story for me. And yeah, just over the top kind of characters that are not over the top.
I love drawing big, nasty dudes. That when you know you see people like this, you're like, oh man, I gotta cross the street now. Because when I can draw a character and somebody looks at this character, and I don't mean necessarily physically big, I just mean big over the top as the ability grows. And if you're walking down the road and you see this guy, you're like, I cannot walk next to this guy, something bad's gonna happen. If I can put that impression on a piece of paper, I'm very happy. Because I think it's difficult to do, so it's always a challenge for me.
I love drawing this book because it was like, I got to draw these cool, like, stuff from Buddhist mythology, so I got to draw all these cool demons and bikini strippers, and, like, faux dogs, and a lot of lotus flowers, so like the cover, like silver lotus flowers and stuff. I like drawing that, but now I'm drawing a character called Sullivan Husk, who's like a charmer, like a seducer, so he's like really debonair and suave, and I like drawing him. He's like just real seductive and flirty with people, you know. It's fun. And also now I'm drawing with John Candy, so I'm drawing a different body perspective, body type, yeah. So he's like overweight, but he's also, you know, he's athletic, he's nimble. He's overweight, but he's also able to move around and do things. So it's fun, like playing with that, like, you know, figuring him out, figuring out how he moves, and how to draw.
Yeah, I guess I'm not too particular about that. I get commissioned a lot to do monster stuff, so whatever that says, you know. But characters that are moved and can tell stories physically. I think they're enjoyable to portray. And I am having fun right now drawing the guy in Murder Hobos. The old dude, he wears like it's like this throwaway buddy suit. He's got like a 6-pack of beer. Giant 50s style laser gun. Big bags under his eyes. He's like a beat up old guy in a bunny suit. So
I think we got time for one more. I think we're a few minutes over, but nobody, is anybody waiting for the room? Or?
But he's had his hand for a while.
Yeah.
This talent scout. What did you say?
Ricky Purdon, P-U-R.
Yeah, they're here.
And his email is rpurdon@marvel.com. Everybody's name, it's everybody's first initial with their last name at marvel.com. So you can email editors if you want to. I'm sorry, what?
Does he look at scripts?
No, Marvel looks at scripts.
It's kind of, it says a writer, like it's almost better to just find an artist and tell your stories, because it's gotta be hard to like have somebody sit down and read it, and then you read a script like a movie script, and you read it on a page and it doesn't necessarily make sense, or you can't see it in your head, or an editor can.
Right.
Because you're asking them a lot to like invest like hours to read it and decipher it. But if you have an artist who's drawing it, and you just like, here it is, and you hand them this.
Right.
And they go, oh, I get it.
Yeah.
Let's say you've already written and drawn your own book. How do you go about
Various ways.
there's drive-through comics you can do print on demand.
Yeah, drive-through comics. They do drive-through RPG as well, which is amazing. And print on demand comics. So if you want one comic, you can have one comic, and the prices are. When we did a card game, they were ridiculously cheap, and the quality was amazing.
If you're willing to throw just a little bit of money.
Yeah, drive-through comics.
And you guys, July 1st, we're doing an art show at Gecko Design downtown the first Friday. And it's basically all comic books, so it's myself, Theo Ellsworth, the gentleman Josh Quick, Dave. I was going to ask you if you want to do it, if you want to print anything up. Well, you can print stuff up too if you want to do anything. Or anyone else is those. Yeah, Gecko Designs is great. It's a first party art show, so we'll have books.
There's just a lot of venues.
Where's art frame? And if anybody who's a comic creator who's made comics, like little zines or anything, that wants to
It's done.
like hand out comics there,
95% of the
do if they want to encourage people to make
everybody draws and says they want to do something, and they don't complete it. And so if you've got a full book,
There'll be beer and sandwiches.
yeah, that's seriously huge. It's amazing. So yeah, and we're all on Facebook and things like that. And you can always contact any of us and ask questions.
This program was produced in whole or in part with equipment and facilities provided by Missoula Community Access Television.